Hi, this is Scott Dudley from Funnel Fella Radio, and today we're up to podcast episode number 14, where we're going to be talking about understanding the prospect's main objections. So, if I was to summarize the most important aspect of funnel optimization, I would answer this by saying you need to understand the prospect's main objections before doing anything else. In other words, find out what makes people who would be classed as your target audience not buy, which is a bit of the reverse around how most people would normally approach it. Instead of thinking of why they would buy, in this case, you're looking at what would stop them from buying. And other things that you'd also be looking at as well is what is it that frustrates and annoys them. So whilst you can definitely learn a lot from studying what your competitors are doing and also performing A/B tests, the best place to start is by getting into the heads of your target audience and then running tests based on that data. You see, data-driven decisions always end up being a lot more profitable than guesswork. And speaking of which, here's an excellent case study from the conversion rate experts that shows how they managed to lift conversion rates by over 400% for their client, and the client was voices.com. So this is a blog post from conversion rate experts, conversion-rate-experts.com. The blog post is called How We Increase the Conversion Rate of Voices.com by over 400%. So in summary, they start off by saying how they achieved these improvements, and basically they studied Voices.com's analytics account so that they could understand where were the biggest opportunities for improvement. They also analysed 510 visitor surveys, which was likely from Hotjar. I've already covered these in an early episode. We've got like pop-up surveys that pop up at the bottom left or right hand corner of the page, just asking a quick question. To understand the mindset of those who arrived at the Voices.com site but didn't ultimately subscribe. They also had a good look at the client's sales literature and interviewed the CEO so that they could identify the company's persuasion assets. In other words, assets that would likely impress prospects. They also analysed the client's competitors' websites to understand the strategies that they were using, and based on that, what opportunities they could use for Voices.com against them. So they've summarised this here by saying once we understood the prospect's main objections and what could be done to overcome them, we created new test pages. So they start off here by giving us a few things that gave them quick wins, and this is an important point whenever you're offering conversion rate optimization services for a customer, is you always want to look at what are the things that you can do that are going to provide quick wins, so that way the customer sees pretty much an immediate impact and results, and that way they have more confidence in what you're doing is worth the money, and that you know what you're doing, and that they're not wasting their money. So it's always a good idea to, before you do anything, look at what are the quick wins that you can do that are going to make an immediate impact. So in this particular case, they come up with 4 of them, okay, and the first of those was to find and communicate proof. So they wanted to add proof to the homepage. Voices.com had some impressive claims to fame that they could use to really influence prospective customers, but they found that currently they weren't being clearly communicated on the website, and Voices.com's customers happen to include many household names, so that's always a good selling point when you've got celebrities, I guess you'd call them, that are endorsing your product. Okay, so number 2 was segmenting by visitor type or visitor intention. So the site had two distinct types of visitor. They had one, voiceover artists, and two, companies looking for voiceover artists. So these are two completely different markets. And what they did was they immediately and clearly segmented these types of visitors into separate conversion funnels. So basically what they've got is a banner on the left-hand side talking about find voiceover talents, and then a couple of bullet points underneath. Connect with professional voice talents without expensive agency fees, post your job free and see great results, get proposals in less than 1 hour, and then a button underneath to find the voices. Then on the right hand side they had find voiceover jobs, which is a completely separate market. So the bullet points for this was the largest voiceover community with over 107,220 people, instant access to amazing opportunities and new job postings every day, and then a button for find jobs. So that completely segmented the audience into two different segments or areas so that they could then focus on helping the customer with what they're actually looking for and providing relevant solutions. Then the third one was demonstration videos. So they're saying here that often the biggest obstacle facing prospects is they don't understand what they're about to sign up for, which is an excellent point. So they overcome this by adding clearly communicated demonstration videos. So not only have you got a video here, but then you've also got nice simple instructions on the left hand side, and then a button underneath to join now, a call to action button. The fourth thing that gave them a quick win was they found hidden opportunities in the sales funnel. So they've come up with a very good point here. Once you've increased the conversion rate of one section of your sales funnel, it's important to take a 50,000 foot view of the business to look for new opportunities that have arisen because of the improvement. So now that you've already increased the conversion rate, how can you now build on that to take it even further? And they're also saying that many clients expect us to only work on their landing pages, and they're surprised that we analyse the whole customer journey from the initial ad to the retention of long-term customers. So that's the entire customer journey from start to finish, basically, in order to find or to identify opportunities. And then they've got an example here. For one client, we identified an opportunity for offline marketing and devised a hugely successful direct mail campaign. And then for another, we identified an opportunity for viral growth and implemented a tell a friend program that became one of its top sources of business. So that's an excellent point. Rather than just focusing on a couple of landing pages, it's a lot better if you can actually focus on the big picture and see where the big wins can really bring in the dollars. So once they'd increased the conversion rate, they also identified that there was a big opportunity for email marketing, which is that's an aspect of marketing that many marketers seem to drop the ball with. Unless you're really set up a proper system for your email marketing that makes sense and is maximizing the conversions from the email marketing, then there's probably a fair chance that there's plenty of room for improvement. So they designed a hugely successful email marketing campaign with the goal of increasing its lifetime customer value. So in short, some handy lessons that they learned was to find out why customers aren't converting, which sort of gets back to the first point that I was talking about, where it's important to work out why customers are not buying, not so much why customers are buying. And don't just guess. If you don't know what the objections of your customers are, your chances of overcoming them are very slim. So that's where you've got to actually use the data to make your decisions, and rather than thinking you know it all, base everything off the data. Really important. And then the next lesson, if your company is the best at something and if you have proof, make certain the proof is prominently placed on your website. So yeah, don't be shy in making it clear that this is something that you're outstanding at and that you can actually help people with. But you have to have the proof to back it up, of course. There's no point just making claims that you're, the best since sliced bread. You have to actually have some customer proof that you've actually done it before. Consider segmenting your visitors. So that's what we were talking about before, where in this particular case, they segmented the audience into two completely different categories. So, I mean, if you have more than one type of visitor and all the visitors can't be served by the same message, like a generic one size fits all message, then you have to look at it, that you're going to have to put the work in and segment them. But having said that, beware that segmentation can take a lot of extra work. So you want to do it only if you absolutely have to. So if you've got, 2 or 3 or 4 obvious segments of your customer base, then if you've got the time and the money to segment them properly, then definitely go for it. But if you feel that you've only really got one type of customer, then there's no need to try to look for opportunities to segment if it's not really going to move the needle. Then another point they've got here is people don't buy what they don't understand. That's why it's important to clearly explain your service so that prospects are more likely to feel in control and take action. So yeah, if people don't know what to do or what you're actually selling, then a confused mind usually says no. So that's fairly obvious. Sometimes video is the best medium for explaining things and for providing proof. Web video doesn't need to cost a lot. And screen capture videos can easily be carried out using Camtasia or ScreenFlow, or what I actually use is Screencast-O-Matic. The only problem with that though is that it runs out after 15 minutes, so I have to finish up quickly if I'm getting close to the 15-minute mark. So I've actually got 3 minutes to go here. All right, so, and then some of the tools that they used for split test and multivariate tests, they use Google's split testing tool, which I believe is Google Optimize. Important update on content experiments. Yeah, I believe that's Google Optimize, that what they're talking about there. To better understand how users interacted with a website, they use Crazy Egg. I've never actually used Crazy Egg, but in that particular case, I would recommend Hotjar, particularly for the fact that it's free so that you can get started. And then if you have the money to invest in these tools a bit more, then you can certainly upgrade to Crazy Egg. They also identified user experience issues by commissioning usability tests from usertesting.com. I have heard of usertesting.com. That's where basically they pay people to perform tests on your website to see how easy it is to use, and you get some good feedback from that. They hosted the videos on YouTube, and on this particular blog post, they're actually saying there's a great guide for advanced YouTube techniques. So maybe you might want to check that out. 10 YouTube URL tricks you should know about. That looks interesting. And then if we come back here, they also analyze survey feedback to understand visitor intent and to identify common questions and objections. And the survey tools was SurveyMonkey and Survey Gizmo. They're recommending Survey Gizmo, which I have actually used, and that is pretty good. And then the last point here that they've sort of suggested is that the company that they were doing this for was voices.com, and they basically provide an auto-playing auto message service or voiceovers, and this might be something that they're saying here might be worth considering for your business as well. It says here, if you haven't already used voices.com, it's one of the most pleasant tasks you'll ever carry out as a web marketer. You paste your text into voices.com's window, and then within hours you'll receive many audition recordings from voiceover artists. So that's an interesting concept as well. So that's pretty much all I've got for today. Some interesting lessons learnt there from this test with voices.com. I'll catch up with you in the next podcast episode. Bye for now.